Hello everyone, welcome to Gosport Railworks. My name is James and today we're doing another 3D printed showcase video. This time we've got quite a few things to show off, so I'll just go through them one by one. We've got one steam engine here, two coaches there, and a saloon at the end. So first one is the LSWR 700 class, which is a drumming engine. This used to be available from Union Mills, but now that they're out of business, I've decided to make them myself. So this particular one is the original look of the 700 class before it got superheater, but I have also made it with the latter version of it with the extended smoke box with superheater. So you've got both versions of the 700 class to do what you want with. Next we've got some coaches. These are some LBSCR coaches. These are the balloon stock. I have made quite a few of these. I've only printed off two because of limited space. But yeah, I've made quite mostly the push-pull coaches for the balloon stock. I will get round to making more of the normal ones, but I've only got two of the normal ones so far. And yeah, that's what I printed off. And they look quite nice. Very nice elliptical roof compared to the arc roof coaches which I've done before. So yeah, these will go nicely behind any LBSCR engines which you may happen to have. Main one which I can think of is the Terrier. Right. Next ones which I've got is some birdcage coaches. These are the early birdcage coaches, so these are 50-foot and 54-foot coaches of the Trio A sets, and they've come out quite nicely. I'm very happy with how the birdcage observatories at the ends have turned out. Again, only printed two because I've got limited space, but yeah, very happy with how they turned out. Very nice detail. And lastly, we've got a Longmore vehicle. Technically, it's the LWNR Saloon of ED33, but it's also, which is currently on the Kent and East Sussex Railway. But yeah, mostly printed this off just because, well, I've got some Longmore vehicles and I want something for them to pull other than the usual 57-foot Suburbans. So yes, that's what we've got today. So I'm going to get them onto my table and tell you, well, how to put them all together, and then I can tell you a bit more about the prototypes and see if I can get something running behind some of the engines that I've got. So I'll see you in a bit. Right, here we are with everything now on my desk, just so I can tell you how to put everything all together. So we'll start with the easiest one and work our way up to the most difficult one. So we'll start with the LMR Saloon here. It is, well, it's pretty easy to put together. You just need the Engage Society 6-wheel stove R chassis, which you can buy separately for about, I think it's about £7, something like that. And yeah, you just remove a few bits which you don't actually need. Just a few bits here and there, and it's all done. That's all you need to do for the chassis. And yeah, for the actual body itself, just paint it, glaze it. Add a few final bits of details like the little gates here, put in some supports for the roof on the balconies, and maybe remove these little supports here for the actual gate area, but I'll probably leave them just to be on the safe side, and maybe add an interior if you feel like it. But otherwise, once that's done, you glue it to the top of it and it's off on its way. Yeah, that's a quite easy one to put together. Most of the work is pretty much done and it's just adding details. So I'll pop you over there. Now I'll do all the coaches together because they're all coaches and they all work together. So for these, it's pretty much really the same thing. You need to paint them, glaze them, add any extra little bits of details I may have missed in the 3D print. Maybe give a little bit of cleaning here and there because sometimes there's a few supports left here and there, but I sort of got rid of them. But yeah, that's the most part. Paint them, glaze them, all that lot. And then same with the underframes. And then you just glue them in. Add the remaining floor if you want to. Add some weight if you really want to. And then just get some bogies. These are some old Farish ones which I found. But Engage Society ones also work. And then they're all ready. So I'll put this together without working the place. You there. Pop you there. And if I can get it in properly, there. Pretty much it, really. Yeah, it's not all that difficult to put my coaches together, which is the whole point. So I'll just pop these out of the way. Oh, one thing for the bird cages, you do need to put the glazing in the actual bird cage itself. That's probably going to be the most awkward bit because it is a very tight gap and there's no other way really to do that. But there should just be enough space, or you could probably do what I'm probably going to be doing, which is ignoring the front one at top at the front here and just do the back one because it's a more visible one. So let me just pop these back over there. And just make sure they're all in order so I know which one's which. There we go. And finally, for the 700 class, you need to get a suitable 060 chassis. This one I'm borrowing from one of my other locos, and I can't remove the tender body, so just pretend that's the tender for it. And you just need to do, this is the Faris not 7, 4F. So this is just the simple 060 tender engine, and pretty much you just need to remove material from the the firebox area just to smooth it down a bit more, and yeah, just pop that on there, paint it and all the other lot, and make it look pretty. Basically make it like this. So you just paint it, add extra little bits of detail like handrails and any other bits. It's just to make it look correct, and then it's all done. Unfortunately, this one is the prototype, so I have forgotten to remove this bit here. It is fixed on the production versions. It's just something I keep forgetting. So yeah, but yeah, it's not all that difficult to put together. And you can get the parts for the chassis off the Bachmann Spares website. It costs probably costs nearly as much as a locomotive. Let me just have a quick look how much all them parts cost, which I've got somewhere. Parts. Yeah, it's about £100 for all the parts which you need. But it's either that or just buy a 4F and then strip all the bodywork off it. But it's probably just easier to get the parts and put them all together. And yeah, that's pretty much it, really. So yeah, 700 class is not all that difficult to put together. There's not really much bodywork which you need to remove. It's basically just where the firebox is, mainly because the 4F has it has a flat roof firebox, whereas the 700 has a rounded top of the firebox. So you do have to correct that. I'll pop you back on there, and I'll pop you over there. And that's pretty much it, really. So, yeah. I'll get on to telling you a bit more about the prototypes themselves. So, here we are, and I'll see you in a bit. In 1905, the LBSCR introduced an elliptical roof-styled coaching stock with a rail-to-roof height of 12 foot 11 inches, which made full use of Brighton's generous loading gauge. This also ensured that they never travelled very far off the Brighton system after 1923. With a length of 54 foot long, these dimensions were exceeded by very few other coaches from the company. Their imposing size helped to lend them to their nickname of balloon coaches. During 1906, 6 slightly different trailers were completed, seating 60 third-class passengers. A further 9 were completed of a yet another slightly different design, but again seating 60 passengers. Initially, these ran between Chichester and Portsmouth, Brighton and Seaford, Brighton and East Grinstead, the Epsom Downs branch, plus local duties around both Horsham and Tunbridge Wells, and covered the Brighton to Worthing service. All balloon pool push services were originally third class only, and it was not until 1916 that other coaches were adapted to run with them. General electrification in 1938 resulted in a surplus of these sets, and withdrawal was commenced soon after, being completed in January 1943. After withdrawal, a number of carriage bodies were grounded at various locations around the Southern, while coach number 3841 from set 750 remained on its bogies as a mobile store within Lancing Works. In reality, it was not at all mobile, certainly not when the Bluebell Railway staff inspected it with a view to possible preservation. Regrettably, it was considered beyond saving at that time, but considering what has been achieved since that time, one would wonder if the same decision would be reached had the carriages still existed today. The LSWR 700 class was a class of 30 060 steam locomotives designed for freight work. The class was designed by Douglas Drummond in 1897 for the London South Western Railway in England and built by Dubbs and Company at the company's Queen's Park Works at Glasgow, Scotland. The locomotives gained the nickname Black Motor early in their career. They were well designed and had few major modifications during the existence of the fleet, the exception being fitting superheaters from 1919 to 1929, which required the fitting of an extended smokebox. They shared many standard parts of Drummond's other designs, including shared boilers with the M7 class. Soon after the locomotives passed to Southern Railway ownership, the LSWR numbers were prefixed E to denote Eastleigh Works. This was done to distinguish similarly numbered locomotives from the other constituents of the Southern. Thus, LSWR number 687 became Southern number E687. These prefixes were dropped from mid-1931. In the meantime, there had been a proposal to renumber some classes into continuous blocks, but none were actually renumbered, and the plan was cancelled in December 1927. The 700s remained intact as a class through Southern ownership from 1923 to 1947. The locomotives passed to British Railways in 1948, who increased the former Southern numbers by 30,000. On the 9th of August 1957, locomotive number 30688 was in a head-on collision with a train formed of two electric multiple units at Staines, Middlesex, after the latter departed against a danger signal. The first to be withdrawn was number 30688 in September 1957, with the second 30352 following in June 1959, and then the third 30687 following in September 1960. Withdrawals then started en masse in 1961 and was completed in December 1962. No examples of the class have been preserved. Built by the LWNR at Wolverton in 1889, the saloon is believed to originally have been numbered 7, then renumbered ED33 by the LMS, then later renumbered 45021 and withdrawn in March 1940. The vehicle was 32 foot long, with balconies at either end, with two saloons between them. These saloons were divided by a toilet compartment. There was seating which provided accommodation for 8 passengers, and is said to have been used by George Whale, the LWNR Chief Mechanical Engineer. In May 1940, it was sold to the Army for use on the Melbourne Military Railway in Derbyshire, but was later transferred to the Longmoor Military Railway, where it was reverted to its role as an officer's inspection saloon. During its time on the LMS, it wore the usual crimson livery of the company, with black lining and grey roof, while at Longmoor the livery was changed to a plain blue livery, losing the lining around the panels, though it retained the light grey roof, along with being renumbered WD3005. One modification it received at Longmoor was the lower corner steps were extended for the benefit of Lieutenant Colonel G.C. Alexander during his time in command of the 16th Railway Training Regiment. Donated to the Transport Trust in 1970 and delivered to the Severn Valley Railway in 1971, then in 1984 it was acquired for the KESR and entered service on the vintage train. Livery was restored back to what it had during LMS ownership and regained its ED33 number. It is currently withdrawn for further overhaul and is securely stored in Rotherden Carriage Storage Shed. The Birdcage A sets were introduced by the South Eastern and Chatham Railway between 1909 and 1910. 37 sets were built by Ashford Works and Metropolitan Amalgamated RC&W. There were two versions of the trio A sets. All employed 54-foot composite coaches, but the first version had 50-foot brake coaches instead of the 54-foot of the latter sets, which perhaps presented a slightly more uniform appearance. One thing to note is that with the start of the Trio A construction period was an alteration to the style of the bodywork mouldings. This now incorporated separate waistline and eaves panels, whereas before the vertical mouldings ran from roofline down to just below the waistline, similar to LWNR style, and the new mouldings were square-cornered below window level, but had radiused corners above. This style became known as Ashford Gothic, and perhaps could be said to incorporate both the old LCDR and SER bodywork styles. It will be noted that quite a number of these coaches were reformed in other sets. These were almost invariably long sets of 6 to 9 birdcage vehicles, including other older stock, that were used on Kent Coast excursion work until as late as 1959, fulfilling the role once played by ex-SER and ex-LCDR six-wheelers until the end of 1936. The second group of Trio A sets were all formed of 54-foot vehicles, with all built at Ashford Works. By 1950, all the 54-foot sets had gone to the Isle of Wight, and following the arrival of British stock, a further round of stock cascading was taking place. By the arrival of the BR Standard Mark I coaches in the mid-1950s caused their final removal. Right, that's pretty much everything all showed off now, so I do hope everyone has enjoyed seeing all the new products which I've designed. Do let me know down below what you think and any which you actually like the look of. Just quickly go over the rough prices which I've remembered of all of them. So the 700 class of either version, that's going to be £15 like my usual 060 tender engines. The coaches, these are below 60 foot, so they are £18 each. Obviously if there's a set, they'll be cheaper for discount and that lot, because I know that the 3 coach sets of these will be a bit cheaper. And for the 6-wheel saloon at the back here, I don't remember the exact price because I've now updated the pricing for all them. I think that's probably about £11. I don't remember it exactly, but do look on my catalogue to find the exact price which I put that as. But yeah, that's pretty much all of them. So yeah, let me know what you think. If you do like the video, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. And if you didn't like the video, well, I hope you enjoyed it anyway. But that's going to be it for me. So yeah, let's try and get a train running. This is going to be, well, this is what I hope to run them as. So I've got my LMR sturdy tank at the front there. I've got 2 coaches which they used on the LMR, and also the saloon which they definitely used on the LMR. So yeah, these will be eventually these will be painted in a similar blue livery. Eventually, when I get around to doing that. These I intend to put in olive, and I'm not actually making that one, so that's going to be left on its own. Anyway, let's get everything running before the end of the video. So here we go, let's give it some power and get it off the dead spot. There we go. So I hope everyone enjoyed, and I'll see you all again next time. So take care everyone. Bye bye. There it goes. Take care now.